Well, I think I've been doing martial arts since the early '70s, really, and well, I think probably the biggest things I've found is that one, we've added so much more because martial arts was a couple of styles that had a couple of moves, and now we have multitude of styles with multitude of moves. So I just think overall it's become way more complex, and it requires instructors to be better instructors nowadays to be able to educate and teach this more complex systems. And overall, I think that's probably the biggest difference. But again, I also think that as we've learned the values of martial arts, what we've really learned is that it's about life skills. It's about taking somebody, and not really, but I think back in the day, it was about teaching someone to have self-defense, and it still is. But nowadays, I think it's about teaching them to be better people, more confident people, people who can set goals, people who can achieve things that they want to have and live a happier and a healthier life. I think that's what the martial arts has really turned into from what it was maybe in the '70s when it was all blood and glory or whatever. Now it's like, how can I take someone, give them the self-defense skills, but equally, if not more importantly, let's teach them how to be better people. I think, and what I've seen over the years is respect. I really learned this when I started training different systems and different styles. It didn't matter if I was in karate or if I was in taekwondo or jiu-jitsu or krav maga. It didn't matter the system. It was all about showing respect. The bow didn't go away. The yes sir, the yes ma'am, and treating other people with respect. That part of tradition, I think, is held solidly for all these years. And obviously there's a lot more things, but I think that's the number one thing that I've seen that goes across the board. And as long as people keep showing each other respect, we're going to have martial arts for a long time. I think for people to have a solid event, whether it's a seminar, you're trying to get new members, or you want to get people to buy the wave mat, whatever it is, I think learning that people don't buy a product or a service, they buy it the people. I think that's going to be super important. So it's like if I'm going to do a seminar, it's really about what's the experience going to be for the people who are going to attend. Yes, you're going to learn X, Y, and Z, and yes, you're going to have this quality product, but really it's all about who's presenting it and how we're presenting it. Are we making it fun and educational? I think that's how we make a seminar super successful, is by selling the people involved and not so much the service that's being put there. Yeah, so we did a Wave Master seminar, and we sold 52 Wave Masters for one event, and this is years ago. This was a big deal, right? But what we had to do is say, look, your child's going to learn how to use a Wave Master, but listen, his brother or sister, they can come, but they don't do martial arts. They can still come. They can still enjoy this activity because they're going to learn all the same stuff that the student will learn, and that was probably our most lucrative. As a matter of fact, we used that seminar to generate enough money to send my whole team to that year's Super Show that they had, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think when you realize that you're the instructor is when you have to leave your ego at the door, right? And I'll give you an example, like when I'm rolling with someone in jiu-jitsu, they're going to tap me out. I need them to tap me out. I need them to feel that success. And so sometimes I have to lower me down a little bit to build them up. And I think that's the difference, because as a student, if I'm a student and I'm training, then I want to win. I want to be the best. I want to do, and I think as an instructor, yes, I think by getting that instructor privilege to be an instructor, you've probably already been recognized as one of the best, right? So we don't have to prove that to our student. I don't have to kick them in the head, or I don't have to be, look at me when I'm the instructor now, right? So I can lower myself down in order to build them up. And I think that's the most important part, is learning not to let your ego trying to keep you above the people you're trying to teach. My goal as an instructor is to teach people to be as good as I am. And then what happens just by accident is it raises me up. And then I have to teach them to be as good as me. Then that raises me up again. So it's just a constant battle of me making them as good as me. That forces me to become better, and then I pull them up again. So it's a constant me getting them to my level. And I think some instructors don't want their students to be at their level, right? They want to have that seniority, right? And I think that's the opposite effect. Man, probably the Wave Master. I thought the Wave Master was super cool when it came out because I was able to move it. Before, all our bags were hanging bags, which I love hanging bags as well. But this was one bag that I could move, I could put in different positions, and that really opened that toolbox up to have these kids better do some drill on that corner, and while I'm still doing something on this side. So I think the Wave Master was probably one of the big tools that was influential in making me a better instructor for sure. So Century Martial Arts I've been with for many years, right? And I think I was talking about it earlier how the first catalog had, I don't know, 6 pages it seemed like it. It was a very thin catalog and I'd look through it and now then the catalogs got big and big and so now we have to have multitude of catalogs, right? So that was one thing, is just to watch the products and watch Century never let off the gas. They're always trying to get to that next level. And as a school owner and a student for that matter, I look forward to what's going to be the next thing that's going to help me take my training to the next level or make my training a more enjoyable experience. I just think the fact that they don't sit back. They're constantly moving and on the cutting edge of whatever it is. They've always got their thumb on the newest, best, coolest thing. And it's really, and I can tell when they're coming up with this, it's like, how do we make these martial artists better martial artists? And this tool, I think, will help them. And the effort that Century puts into bringing in the best people to do the best training, I think that's amazing, because now you know when you're buying from Century, you're buying from the best. I think that's what's important. Man, that's going to be tough because I use them both so equally. I think for the big picture, probably Bob, because Bob is unforgettable. You know, you see that was the first time a punching bag became a person, right? Before it was a punching bag. Now it's actually like, wow, there's features and facial features, and you can put Bob up in the corner as a security guard, right? And people won't even come in the house. You know, I can't tell you how many carpool lines I've got through with Bob sitting over there in that seat. No, I'm just joking, but I think Bob, to be honest, is probably the biggest one that helped put Century on the map for sure. I think the tradition. I think Century has done a great job of keeping the tradition of martial arts, not necessarily traditional, although that's there. I just think the tradition of martial arts, how you're going to start at white belt and everything from your products up to advanced to the way we do business. I just think that Century has done an excellent job of keeping the tradition and not losing what worked for them 25, 40, 50 years ago. They didn't lose that tradition. They just added to it. And I think that's what's super cool, because you're still getting the same Century you got 50 years ago. It's just better. That's all. Yeah, yes, yes, I do, and that's a powerful moment, because I think it's got to start off with how you view your own black belt, right? And I just remember getting my black belt and knowing that it was a life-changing moment. And then when I gave my first black belt out and tied it around that waist of that person, that I was like, I just gave you something you'll have for the rest of your life. No matter what happens, you will always be a black belt forever. And I just think I think it was the coolest thing. But yes, I do remember it. So it was an amazing experience.